Hey all, welcome to another edition of the R&B Deep Dive podcast. We're live for Thursday evening here on YouTube. I'm joined, of course, by my right-hand man on this podcast, VJ Jode. How you doing, sir?
Hey, good. Looking forward to today. Last time Tony DOFAT joined, it was a bit random, unexpected. But this is probably going to be a bit more structured, and we'll ask him some questions when he joins, which should hopefully be soon.
Soon, we hope now. Do you just want to give a little introduction about Tony before he does join us?
Yeah, Tony DOFAT is he's a producer, remixer, engineer who started his career around 1992. He was responsible for key remixes of Mary J Blige's What's the 4-on-1 album. He was also the guy behind That I'm Still Waiting remix by Jodeci. He's worked with Christopher Williams, lots of uptown artists like Father MC. He had a very strong relationship with Heavy D. I think he was very close with him. And I think he's done more production work with Heavy D than anybody else, if I'm not mistaken. It's got to be close. Other than Heavy D himself, I think Tony DOFAT's done more production work than anybody else. Very good. And yes, Tanya, this is exactly your shirt. We were just talking about that a little while ago, me and Stevie. So, yeah, Mary J Blige shirt.
Yeah, where did you get that T-shirt from?
It was from. I'm not going to tell you, man. Like it's there's a. This is.
You're not going to tell me.
You're putting me on.
Get one.
I've just had a conversation with you about.
Yeah, but let the listeners know. Let the listeners know where you got it from.
It's a H&M shirt. H&M? I think it's H&M. It was a.
I'm amazed they're selling T-shirts like that in a store.
2-3 years ago, I think they're selling it. 2-3 years ago, something like that. So yeah. So hello, Tanya. Hello, Digger. How are you guys doing?
So have you meticulously collected what he's done over the years then?
I think I'll have most things. I think Tony DOFAT is one of those producers that anything he touched was good. It was worthy of buying. So he's done a lot of stuff. Definitely a lot of good stuff. Have you bought a lot of his stuff?
Well, when I looked at his Discogs, I realised more or less every album he's produced someone I've got. So I didn't even realise he'd done that much stuff. There's probably some hip hop bits that are missing it out my collect stuff like, say, Champ MC, which keeps getting reissued, but looks like the man's here actually.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Hey, what's up? What's up? Let me just check my audio settings really quick.
You sound pretty clear.
Normally I have my my lav, my mic. Let me just make sure my mic is correct. Yeah, no, see my input is low right here. 1 2 1 2, right? There we go. A lot better now.
Yeah, it is. That's a lot better.
Yeah, because normally I have my lav set up, but I was running late. I was just in a meeting, so couldn't really get to my my microphone and stuff.
Well,
want to share the link.
Yes, I've sent it to you. I sent it to you again today, just on WhatsApp. You should have it on WhatsApp.
Yeah, for some reason when I click it, it doesn't. All right, hold on. I'm gonna do it right here.
Which link? The YouTube link?
Yeah, the YouTube one. I have it right here, and I'm gonna share it now. Let me.
Okay. So we have Mr. Tony DOFAT live with us here on the R&B Deep Dive podcast. Super legendary hip hop R&B producer. VJ, you were saying some things about him.
Yeah, just like the first time I'd seen Tony's name was I want to say around 1992. He was involved, as I said, on some key remixes on Mary J Blige's first album, and as I just said, he was the man behind that remix by Jodeci's I'm Still Waiting, and that's a special remix. Like when we heard that mix, like how did you feel, Stevie, when you heard I'm Still Waiting for the first time?
I remember being blown away by it. And you know, I got to hear it on that Strictly Swing compilation. I couldn't find the promo for Love No Money for a while, but just an incredible mix.
But it was crazy, that mix. When you first heard it, you're like, what the hell is this shit, man? It's just too good. It was just incredible, right? It was just such a great remix, man. Yeah, and I was saying that, Tony's worked with Heavy D, like I think maybe perhaps the most prolific producer to work with Heavy D, if I'm not mistaken. I think, Tony, you've done more tracks with Heavy D than anybody else.
Yeah, for sure. So Heavy and I became partners, official partners, because he had he understands chemistry, and he told me, he sat me down and said, you know what, we should just become partners, because he said every great artist always has one great producer, and they just work together, and if the chemistry works. And then he gave me examples of it. He said, like Janet Jackson, for example, like Jam and Lewis, right? He said Magic, and he also gave me a local comparison. He said Al B. Sure and Kyle West. He said they just work so well together. So he said it needs to be Heavy D and Tony Dofat. So that's how we ended up becoming partners. This happened after Blue Funk project, and then I ended up producing the majority of his work, and then we became co-producers and produced other artists like Lil Jerome and Tanya Blunt. Who else? We produced a lot of people together. And if I didn't produce the records with him, I ended up mixing and engineering. So, like Carl Thomas, for example, like I mixed those records for him, but I didn't co-produce them. I didn't co-produce the records, but I did mix those records, the total records that he produced. I didn't mix those records, but I engineered it and I didn't produce it with him, but I engineered and mixed the record. So we, regardless of what it is, like I'll give you a great example, the reggae album, right? You said, yo, I don't want to do any more rap right now. I got to do something different. I did enough rap, but we did everything. And, you know, it's time to win a Grammy. I got to do something different outside the box. He said, I'm going to do a reggae album. And I was like, great. I think it's a great idea. And he said, yo, but I want you to produce it. He said, I want you to produce it and engineer it and executive produce it with me. And I was like, cool, I like reggae, but, you know, that's not my thing. I'm not like Jamaican. I'm not like a real, you know, because Heavy D's Jamaican. And he said, no, but you got it in you. He said, yo, you're from Mount Vernon. He said Mount Vernon, there's a bunch of Jamaicans and West Indians in Mount Vernon, man. You got it. You could do it. And I was like, all right, cool. This is what I'll do. I studied it. He gave me records to listen to. And this is what I teach my students. You have to study. And this is research. Like, for example, I gave assignments last term, and I had them do genres that they normally don't produce. And I told them how to do it. You have to research those genres. You have to research rhythm. You have to research timbre, sounds, frequencies, and everything. So that's what I did with the reggae he gave me. And he gave me the exact reggae that he gave me. He wanted a specific sound. He didn't want the fake reggae or the American reggae. Listen to the reggae album. You'll understand. He wanted the real authentic reggae. Now you gotta think about this. I'd never been to Jamaica. I went there recently, but before doing this album, I didn't go to Jamaica. So I had to really just put my thinking cap on and research it, and then I kind of figured it out. And then I started analyzing all the records that we worked on, and I said, no, this bass line is too stiff. This bass line is the wrong frequency. These drums are too artificial. And I just started tweaking things. Like when you hear like Chasing Windmills and records like that, I totally redid the bass and didn't use sequencer at all. All that stuff was live. I played the bass live all the way down from 0 to whatever, 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Live keyboards. The organ was live. So that's one element that I realized in real reggae is that it has a loose feel. And I just discovered that through the research. And then also just like some of the things that we hear that sound planned are really mistakes. And he said like you know, a lot of the echoes and the static from the consoles just came from broken down equipment. And so I was trying to emulate that purposely, trying to create artificial mistakes. And that kind of worked a little bit, but yeah. So at the end of the day, it was fun, great experience, and that was my first Grammy nomination. We were nominated for a Grammy for that album. So I was nominated as a writer, executive producer, mixer, and producer and recording engineer on the entire project. So I had my hands like in, I was, I pretty much did everything in that project, and it was a great experience for me.
You were well and truly in the mix.
Yeah. I learned as I went. As I worked, I learned, and it was great experience, and I used that to teach. I use that to teach because I'm like a product of my teachings. Like if I feel like I can do it, I can teach someone else how to do it. And um, and yeah, and it works very well. And I think a lot of my students appreciated that last term, because I had some students doing country music. I was like, just to be a great producer, you have to be versatile. First of all, you have to understand different genres of music, and you have to be able to analyze music. And look at music from an analytical approach, meaning that, all right, cool, you have to understand really frequencies, you have to understand all the components that really make a song unique and what really resonates with the fans and the listener. We love frequencies, we love arrangements, we love dynamics, we love all of these things. And that's one of the things I think is missing from today's music. A lot of the things that I mentioned, we do have frequencies, but we don't have the correct frequencies in a lot of records. We have movements, but we don't have the correct movements in records. Another thing that Heavy taught me, something that Quincy Jones told him, is that all the greatest songs have bridges. They contain bridges and songs. And I remember there was a time. I know I'm going all over the place, but this still is going to point back to Heavy D. We had this discussion because Quincy Jones told him about adding bridges in your songs, and this goes back to a Jodeci situation where Jodeci delivered, I forgot which song it was, I think Cry For You. And Andre Harrell said, no, we need a bridge in this record. And I remember it was a discussion because they had to cut the master tape to insert a bridge. And I believe it's Cry For You. I think Devontae can confirm that. But I know Tony Maserati and I spoke about it during one of our sessions because he was the engineer. He had to cut the actual master, and they had to match the sounds and insert a bridge. So imagine those records without bridges, right? It would give a total different feel when we talk about macro dynamics. It wouldn't build the same. It wouldn't create a climax. It wouldn't give you something to look forward to.
I mean, that's crazy that Andre Harrell had to step in to tell Devontae, hey, buddy, you need to add a bridge in here. That is just a crazy sentence. That's crazy.
Yeah, but that's what the music was built on, and that's Quincy Jones told Heavy, and Heavy told me. So he said the greatest records, and he said also another thing that Quincy told Heavy. He said that something you can't fake are the goosebumps, and Quincy said, you know, you get goosebumps when you hear when you hear music that works, and you can't fake that, and that's his belief. And then Heavy told me that, and it would have been great hearing it directly from Quincy because I totally get it and understand it. But yeah, that's some of the things that I learned from Heavy, and I appreciated working with him so much because besides us in the studio, if you were a fly on the wall in one of our sessions, you would say, "Yo, I don't understand how they make good records because we bicker." We used to bicker every session back and forth, and we talked about this. And he said, "But at the end of the day, we make beautiful music together." So that's what it is. So even though we push and pull, we still make great music together, and that's what it's about. It's about trusting your partner, and it's about trying. It's about trying all ideas, right? And a lot of things are trial and error. So when you go into a studio as a producer, you have to be more of a listener. You have to be a leader and a listener, but more of a listener first. And me I feel that I'm a great listener. It helped me a lot. I learned from it, and I implemented all of those things that I learned, and I think the results show when we released our records.
Oh, absolutely. I did have a question about Heavy D's production, but I think, and if I remember, we'll get back to that, because I think he sounded very influenced by you, and I mean that as a compliment to him and as a compliment to you, because his production was fantastic. I mean, some of the stuff he did, I think we may have spoken about it, Tony. That song, "Changing Faces" track, "Baby Your Love," like that sounds like it's very steeped in Tony DOFAT lessons in chord arrangements and this and that, and it sounds like he had your ear.
Yeah, so I taught him how to use the drum machines. I have pictures right here, professional images from a photographer. Came to my home studio, and I was just showing him. I think I posted some of those on Facebook, where I actually showed him how to use the MPC and the SB1200, and then he purchased the MPC. And I remember, and he set it up in his condo in Beverly Hills, and then I would walk him through everything over the phone, and even the track that he did for Beanie Siegel of "I Can Feel It in the Air" and the Guns N' Roses track for Jay-Z. I helped him with those records over the phone. Helped him quantize and sound selection and placements of the kicks and snares. So yeah, he didn't really understand it, and he didn't really understand how to make the machines. And I just watched him just start by banging on the pads and growing into producing songs on his own. So that was really amazing for someone like Heavy D that already released so many records and was just so eager to learn and produce records on his own. So that was a great achievement, I feel.
And it must have been amazing for you, because like you were involved in the production, a lot of the production on Blue Funk. I think you did 3 tracks. Was it 3 tracks on there or something?
I did 3 or 4.
I think was it
the link. I've shared the link with people, and they're saying that it's not the right link.
Okay, hold on.
Can you text it to me?
So the link I sent you, hold on. Let me just see if I can log on to it. Then I'll send it.
It's an ad. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to copy the link again, and I'm going to send it again. Okay.
Send it as a text, not through WhatsApp, because WhatsApp did not.
Sure, I'll send it to you via text. No problem. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Sent.
Okay. Here we go. Let me try to paste this.
That's the YouTube link, yeah?
Okay, got it. All right, I'm going to send it to everyone that's asking me for it, because there's no link on my Instagram or anywhere, and no one knows how to watch it, join it.
That's strange.
Yeah, I think should have posted a link on there.
It's okay. Do what you've got to do, and then we'll start again.
I did a song with Eric Miltier just recently.
You did another one?
Yeah, I'm working on it right now, actually.
Wow.
Eric, we've been talking, yeah.
We'll get into that. Stevie, did you want to ask Tony a few questions? I think you had some things.
Just wanted to fill in a few blanks before 1992, really. How you, because I'm looking at Discogs and it starts at 1992, Rough House Survivors.
Yeah.
I mean, before then, what was going on with you? How did you become a producer? Just for the listeners out there, a brief bit of background, really.
I mean, the whole story is crazy, because I got interested in music through Teddy Riley. Teddy Riley was someone that looked like me. We were close to the same age, and I felt that I can do music, because I was musically inclined somewhat. I was okay on the keyboards, but I played the trumpet, so I knew some things about music. So from that point, I said, you know what, let me get a keyboard and drum machine and let me invest in myself. So that's what I did. And trust me, when we first start out as a producer or any type of craft, our initial stuff was really horrible, really, really bad stuff. Um, the drum machine was a Korg DDD5, keyboard was a Casio. I eventually upgraded, but nothing of commercial quality at all. And it just sucked, but it was just fun for me to do it. I just found fun in making records, even though the records weren't good. But the good thing about that was surrounding yourself around people that are not haters and people and real friends that support you. And you know what they said? They said, "Oh, that's not bad. Just keep going. Keep going." And a lot of people don't have that type of support. You don't understand those small words and a little bit of encouragement goes a very long way, because I could have been discouraged and never made a record. So I did continue to keep making beats, and my beats gradually got better. They gradually got better. And then I linked up with a friend of mine that lived in the same building. He said, "Yo, I like your stuff. You have potential. Let's partner and let's create something together, a production company." His name is Greg Trotman too. We still speak, by the way. So
What's his name?
Greg Trotman.
Okay.
Yeah. So we linked up when we built a studio on 236th Street in the Bronx. And this is where all the artists came. This is where Case came.
Wow.
We are recording the Case records there. DMX. I did the whole album on DMX. AZ. I did his demo. AZ.
Wow.
Biggie came there. Everyone came there. And this is when Rough House Survivors. So we found all these artists and got them record deals. And so as I was doing the music and putting all that stuff together, building the catalog, and then Tim Dog from Uptown Records. He was my neighbor growing up. He lived exactly right next door to me. It's crazy. And he was at Uptown Records as an A&R, and he came to the studio and said, "Yo, Dofat, yo, so I didn't know you did music, but your music is hot. I like your music." And that took a lot of hours, just every day, 18 hours a day, just making beats. He said, "You know what?" He said, "You know Puffy, right?" He said, "Puffy's looking for a producing partner." He said, put your beats on the tape and I'm gonna bring it down there and bring it to the label. So he brought it to the label. Next thing I know, Puff comes to the studio. He's still an intern, whatever. Never made a record. None of us made it. Well, we made demos, but we never made a record before. And he said, "Yo, I like your sound." He said, "Your sound is, your sound is." I'm trying to speak like Puff now, right? He said, "Oh, your hip hop is hot, and then you play your R&B on top of that is good. It's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking to create a new sound with hip hop and R&B." So he said, "I think it's perfect. Let's work on this project right here, right? There's a new girl, Mary J. Blige, right? We're gonna transform this R&B. She's R&B and hip hop, but it's not hip hop enough." Because he said the young kids, we don't really like the R&B stuff. We don't like the singing stuff that much. And he said the older people don't like hip hop. So we said we got to make something that everyone's gonna like. So he said, I was like, "All right, cool, let's do it. We have nothing to lose. Why would I say no?" So he called over a DJ to bring over a record. The DJ was Funkmaster Flex, by the way, but he wasn't Funk Flex then. But I saw Flex recently, and I said, "You remember when you brought that record to my studio? That was the first record I made." So he brought over a record. Puff was like, I want something like Public Enemy #1. I was like, "No problem, say less." So I didn't loop that song. That song is not a loop, but I was really, really, really good at recreating original loops. And that's something that I'm going to bring up too with their business affairs, is that I think they're paying for master usage, and I didn't use the master. But anyway, I used some drum sounds put it together, and we went right into the studio, Hit Factory. I remember the session started at midnight, late night. We were in Hit Factory on 54th Street, and I had the turntable there, my drum machine was there, and a keyboard. And then Mary came, and I did everything from scratch right there at the Hit Factory. Did the beat from scratch. Tony Maserati was the engineer. He sat there the whole time and watched me just put everything together. And then Mary, then he said, all right, Mary, go back in there, and we're going to change the chorus around and things like that. We changed it around, and one of the key things to doing remixes back then was just bringing the beat more up front and having the keys really low in the background. And that was one of the ways that we kind of made an R&B song more hip hop, in a sense, by using, by just turning up the hip hop elements. And we did the song. And after we did the song, the record was on the radio like a day later. And besides it being on the radio, that record just took off. And it was just like maybe a week later, I'm walking down Fordham Road in the Bronx, doing like clothes shopping, and I'm hearing people driving around playing my record. So, and there was no internet or anything like that. It was just so viral. It was just so organic, and it just moved like hotcakes. So during that time, I was excited. And it's so funny. I wasn't as excited to hear my record on the radio, but I was excited to see strangers playing my record. That was a different feeling. It hits different than your record on the radio. So after that, I called Puff. I was like, yo, Puff, we got to do more records. He said, yeah, no, we're going to do a lot more. He said, everyone loves it. Andre loves it. He said, no, we're doing a lot more. Trust me. I'll call him again a couple of days later. Yo, what's up? We got to do more. He said, trust me, we're going to do more. Then I get the call. Yo, come back. We got to do another one. I think the second one I did was Jodeci.
Wow. That's crazy.
I believe it was. So from that point on, my phone never turned off ever in life. My phone never turned off. It stays on 24/7. And it felt like I only got 4 hours of sleep from that point in my life. Every day.
But dude, man, you have to, and you probably know this, and I don't know how much attention you pay to this, but the songs you created, they mattered, man. They really mattered. Like, you're talking about those first two records. So what was the first Mary J track that you did?
It was the You Remind Me remix with Greg Nice, the one with the video.
The Bentley's mix.
No, it was the one with the video version with her dancing. That's the only video. The You Remind Me with Greg Nice.
Ah, right. So the Greg, when he talks about Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah.
That one. Okay.
That's
your first record. Your second record. Is it Jodeci? I'm Still Waiting.
Yeah, Jodeci, I'm Still Waiting. The one that was on the ad right there. So we put that record together. It was. So the Mary J Blige record, one thing I told Puff was that, all the Jeeps are playing my record because it was just pounding in the Jeeps. The kicker box that was in the back, that kick and that snare just made it sound crazy. So that's why in the Jodeci record, he said, this is for the Jeeps, strictly for the Jeeps. Because the response from the Mary record prompted him to make a record just for the Jeeps. So we found that good frequency, Tony Maserati and I, and we just pumped that frequency up in the Jodeci record, and we made it strictly for the Jeeps. So we catered to a specific demographic, which was marketing. So Puff is a marketing genius. Like I always say that. No. We catered to a specific demographic for the Jeeps. And if you had a Jeep and didn't play that record, you were whack. You had to play that record if you had a Jeep.
Stevie, isn't it crazy? You think this man here, Tony DOFAT, the first two records he did were those two records. Now you think about those two records and the impact on our ears, mine and yours. It's just crazy, right? You think
I think that's crazy. What was interesting about that story you've just told, though, in relation to Teddy, the way obviously back in the mid to late 80s, he had people going around working with him before we knew who they were, and you're kind of, you've got your MPC out, you learn how to make beats, and suddenly you've got all these rappers that we know who they are now, but maybe you were working when we didn't know, like AZ, and so that kind of mirrors what was going on. Really, you would, on your block, you was like this new hot producer, and word obviously spread round them blocks, and people coming knocking on you. Because I wondered how you got to Rough House Survivors. Now I kind of know. Now I kind of know. Now I understand.
I have some product here. We did a reissue right here. I have a vinyl cassette and CDs over there. They sold out. They said in like 2 minutes.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a double. It's really, really, really nice. I'll show you at the end. But Rough House Survivors was a group that Greg Trotman found, my partner, and I was the musical person. I was the one that was doing the music, and he was the business partner, and I was the music partner, the creative partner. And he brought them in, and I just did their demo, and we got them a deal. And I did their album after I did the Mary record. Or I did it actually simultaneously, because I hired Tony Maserati, and I met Tony Maserati through Mary. Or through Uptown Records. So, and I did that record, and I was so efficient when I put that schedule together, and I mixed the record in exactly 2 weeks. We recorded the entire album. We did the demos in my studio, and then we recut the album, recut the vocals in the Hit Factory, and then we mixed it in 2 weeks. So I did that entire album. I produced the whole thing in 3 weeks.
Wow.
3 weeks. That's when you plan it properly, you schedule everything out properly, and we did it on a very shoestring budget. And
when you say shoestring, what does that mean? Like, how much did
it was $80,000? That deal was only $80,000.
Only.
Yeah. Only. Man, after Mary's budget was $250,000.
Wow. Big difference.
Well, yeah.
The whole 411 album was $250,000.
Yeah, that was done at the same time. That was done exactly in the same month. When we look at the release dates are the same. Mary's was $250,000, and theirs was a minimum $250,000, because Puff said that we're only supposed to deliver 10 songs, and it's $25,000 per song, and that's a standard budget. So if you're signing to a major, there's no way you were getting, during that time in the early 90s, you were getting no less than $250,000. So $80,000 was low, but it was an opportunity. And we did it, and it wasn't a lot of money left over. I mean, when I'm talking about that was all in, meaning that we had to cover all expenses. It wasn't just a producer advance. Sure. So it was really a shoestring budget. Yeah, considering the amount of time it takes, and all the personnel that's working on it, and the engineer, and the recording studio, and if there were samples that needed to be cleared. And we had to pay Grand Poobah, we had to pay Sadat X, we had to pay CL Smooth. Those are features that were on the project as well. So yeah, but when you think about $250,000, nothing for an album nowadays, even though it doesn't cost as much. But artists are getting a lot for features. But the average Bad Boy album was $500,000.
I'm sure it was. I mean, there was some great output from that camp, man. Bad Boy Records was just something else, man. Something else. I thought Uptown Records had it down, and they did. But then Bad Boy seemed to continue that theme. And I won't say one was better than the other. For me, like, I'm a New Jack Swing guy. Like, I come from for my ears, that was the beginning for me. Yeah. But what Bad Boy did was incredible, man.
Yeah, it was a torch that was being passed during that time, and Puff had his ears to the street more than Andre Harrell did. Andre Harrell trusted Puff Andre Harrell had a vision. His vision was, you know, he liked Teddy Riley. He liked God because it was different. They're cool. They're from Harlem. They had leather suits and the Jerry curls. He said, so that was a thing then. But then with the Mary J stuff and the Jodeci, the styling of that, Sybil Penix did a great job as well. It was a team effort. You know, it wasn't just one person. It was radio convincing DJs we have something new that you got to listen to. It was marketing, understanding their audience. They didn't really have an audience, but building their audience and then determining and locating their audience and then feeding the audience. Like for example, this is for the Jeeps. Understanding that Mary J. Blige went from a R&B. She's an R&B singer, but she was you know, admired by the Jeep community. That was a big thing in the early 90s. You saw New Jack City, right? With the Jeep. That's how it was in New York. Yeah, everyone couldn't wait for the summertime, take those tops off, baby, and ride down and blast the hottest new joint. So yeah, and after that, then we just started. I was the official remixer, and Puff was like, yo, we just gonna remix everything now. He said, come on in. So we started with a very low fee, then our fee gradually just increased. And because we were building traction, we were proving that what we were doing is resonating with the fans and the youth. So our first record was like $3,500 and we had to split it. I'm transparent about that. It was $3,500 and we had to split that money. So that's fine, you know, for my first record. Because, but it didn't stop. That was just the beginning. Second record was like 10,000 and then it went to 17,000, then it went to 25,000. So I was happy with the progress, and I understand we worked from the bottom. We worked from the bottom, and we started building a solidified track record, and we were compensated. I feel appropriately.
Fair enough. Hello, Little Dofat. Nice to see you. We will talk about fish and chips later, I'm sure. And Tony, you'll understand what we're talking about. Before we get into the music, get a little bit deeper, I have a few quick fire questions for you. Okay. We'll keep them light, so try not to take too long on them unless you really want to, and then we'll deep dive into the music because there's a lot of music to talk about.
Okay.
So, favorite singer you've worked with and why?
Oh, that's easy. Debarge.
Okay.
Debarge, and because I learned so much, I like learning. You know, that's why I'm a professor. As a professor, we learn every day, and we soak things up. And those entire sessions, I worked with him for a week straight, was a learning experience for me. Like I couldn't have learned any more than I think from no one else, because I grew up on Debarge. And I know, and he told me that Marvin Gaye mentored him. So he gave me gems from Marvin Gaye. And I really took that and ran with it. And I applied that to my productions after. And understanding the bridge, because he made me put a bridge in the record. And Special Lady, that's right. So I did the record. I wrote the record when I was very young. I was 18 when I wrote the record. I had someone demo it. Benny Medina heard it and said, hey, you know, he was putting together, he was executive producing. He and Babyface were executive producing the Debarge record when he was at Warner. So Babyface produced the album. I did only 2 songs. And he said, the Special Lady record, I want it. I was like, I was a kid when I wrote that record, but yes, let's do it. We did the record. And then Debarge, we're in the studio mixing the record with Tony Maserati. And then El was like, hey, man, we need a bridge. And I was like, this is a musical genius. He called me a genius, too. And I was so flattered. He was like, this is a musical genius right here. And he's like, we need a bridge. And I'm right here in front of him. It's just me and him in the room. No entourage, nothing. Probably had a little vodka, whatever, you know, just for the mood, some candles burning. And I was like, okay. I had my MPC there. I got on the piano, did chords. And he said, yeah. and then I did some strings and bass. Yeah, and then he came up with the words. If you listen to that part, that's my favorite part in the whole song, that bridge. And we inserted the bridge right in the Special Lady, and then I went off and dropped it with an 808 just to break it all up. But that bridge was special to me, and it put me on the spot. So I created that bridge like a matter of 20 minutes. But just all the gems that I learned from that about feeling songs, about feeling things, and not really about the accuracy of the note or pitch is not as valuable as feeling. Getting your point across as a vocalist is more important. So that's why I learned so many things from him. I could just keep going on, but
I know that. Like, for the thing is, like, you've got so much to share, and we want you to share it all. So quickfire round seems like we're going to fail with the quickfire round, because I know the thing is, like, once you pull on a thread, you just want to share more. And like, when you're talking about somebody that's so personal to you. You want to say more? I mean, you've learned a lot from him. Obviously.
No, that's enough, because I mean, I can keep going on and on and on about those sessions, because we worked together for a long time.
Sure.
And we're still friends, and we still, he sent me his number just recently, and you still want to do some work with, together. So I always just make sure I keep in touch with those that I work with, and just keep the doors open for a possible future collabs.
Fair enough.
More stuff.
Who's your favorite rapper you've worked with, and why?
Oh, my favorite rapper. Oh man, that one. Still, I gotta go by my favorite songs or my favorite rapper. So that's difficult. Now, my favorite rapper that I work with, I have to say Heavy D, because I gotta go back to just learning, not even just about music, but about life. He's a different. Grew up as his culture and background is different. So I learned a lot about life. In addition to a lot of music. So I would say his influence played a huge role in just my life. So that's what I would say him. But I think one of my favorite rappers, I think, that I worked with was Black Rob, was one. I think there was no record that he did that I didn't like. And when you listen to it, it's like Biggie is like almost every bar, and I'm not even gonna say almost, it's like every bar that he spit, I liked. It resonated with me. So I would say AZ's dope.
The last time we spoke, you were partial to G Dep as well. You mentioned G Dep.
G Dep is dope too, and I was last night. I was going to send him a beat last night, just out of the blue, because he want to work, and I was just going to send him a beat out of the blue last night, because I got his whole unreleased album right here, but that I produced. But I was just going to send him something new, just so he can just record something new, so I can just show him that I'm supporting him, that I'm still one of his biggest fans. And shout out to G Dep also. Like, I'm definitely going to give you a call this week, and hopefully we can make some more magic, because this records that we did a lot of magical records, but they never came out.
Who would you like to have worked with, dead or alive?
Oh man, you know what? I would like to work with Snoop. I would like to work with Snoop, and it's still a possibility. We toured together in Europe. We toured together, and I chilled in his room, and while they were in there vibing, and I was playing beats and stuff, trying to encourage him to work. And he loved the beats, though. He loved the beats. We just never linked up to did anything.
That would be cool. That would be a cool
combo. With Snoop. I'm trying to think who else. Kanye. Those are all possibilities, though. These are all possibilities. It's just me now at where I am in my life. I don't have the energy like I used to when I was in my early 20s, where I'm chasing everyone around and hanging out at the studio all night waiting for artists to show up and doing things like that.
What do you mean you don't have the energy anymore? You still do the Running Man on Saturday, right?
I'm making records, but I don't have that type of energy anymore. Like, do you know all of the things you got to go to place a record on an artist?
It's not the energy, the tolerance as well.
You can make 10 records.
The tolerance.
And then you have to catch them in the right mood, because they could be in a bad mood and say they don't like the beat until they hear it again and say, "Oh, I love it." You know how many times Hev did that? He did that to the single Big Daddy. This single right here. The first record we did, he didn't like it. And it was the last record we recorded and the first single that they put out. And it went platinum. They had to pull it. So we could force album sales.
Fair enough. And I know a lot of people have a lot of questions, and they're incredible questions. I mean, I have not seen a bad question yet. Incredible questions. If we have time later, we'll try and address some of them. We'll try and get to see if Tony can address some of them. But we'll see how time goes. Tony, your favorite cuisine?
Oh man, I would have to say, I would stick with steak, American. I just had 2 steaks 2 nights in a row. Grilled steaks is one, but Asian food. Asian, I would say. I'm half Chinese, so I make Chinese food with my eyes closed. So I would say Chinese and American. But you know what's so funny? I cook. My TikTok is banging with the food, right? And there is no correlation or any type of ties with music at all. It's just organic growth from food. And I make everything, and I love all types of food, but I'm really picky when it comes to things. If I look at it and it doesn't look appetizing to me, I won't try it.
Fair enough.
I will say no. And I think you remember with the peas.
Oh yeah, that shit wasn't right, man.
When I looked at the peas, I said,
nope.
My son tried it, but I was like, nah. I was like,
what's your favorite dish?
My favorite dish, I would say garlic mashed potatoes with a nice pan-seared ribeye, or I would say some nice smoked ribs, or oxtails. And I have this new thing that I'm doing that I did this summer: smoked oxtails, grilled oxtails. So I smoke them for a few hours, and then I put them in a pan with a little beef broth and some beef tallow, and then let them stew in the broth under the smoker, and then they just shake right off the bone. And I eat that with some mashed potatoes, and I'm good.
What's your what's the best season and why?
My best season, I'm a winter person. My birthday's in January. I'm a winter person because I always have this philosophy. We can always make ourselves warmer, but we cannot make ourselves cooler. So summertime, it just sucks when you're caught in humidity and you're out in the sun, or you're just baking. We can't make ourselves cooler. But if we go outside with layers in winter, and I'm from New York, so I like seasons, and I love winter activities. I was a snowboarder, so I got hurt like 4 or 5 times, but I was a snowboarder, and I boarded in maybe 5, 6 different cities. So I used to travel with my board.
What's your favorite city?
Favorite city it's not New York. I'll tell you that much. I've been over New York. I love the culture, but I'm not a New Yorker. I mean, I'm a New Yorker, but I don't like New York. The quality of life sucks there. Yeah. Quality of life sucks in New York. But my favorite city besides, I would have to say, I like London and Paris.
Great choice.
Those are the 2 that I'm most frequent.
Great choices. You can't go wrong with either of those cities.
Yeah, because it has a combination of everything, and I love the seasons, like I said.
Monica's just sent a text, and she just said 22nd of January. She's like Rain Man. When somebody tells her birthday, she never forgets
January.
January. So
22. Can I hold on 1 second? I'll grab some water. Okay.
Go for it.
Well, like you said, we've got thanks for everyone watching, by the way. Can you please do us a massive favor so we can push this podcast even further into the YouTube spectrum? Just smash the like button. The more we hit that like button, the podcast gets pushed out, and hopefully we can get more guests on. As big as Tony Dofat, because this is huge this evening, very huge. We can all see your questions. There's a ton of them in the VJ.
There's so many great
I don't
questions.
think we're going to get time to ask. I'd love to ask them all, but
I mean, if it's not possible today, maybe we can try and have a question and answer session at some point. I don't know.
That is possible. That is possible.
We'll see how we get on today. But Tony Dofat's done a lot of stuff, man. So much stuff.
Like you say, I was scrolling down Discogs, just reminding myself, like, I remember getting that. I got this, got that, and I'm like, what? He did this and he did that. I was stunned. You know what I mean?
Yeah. As I said to you earlier, man, like the Men of Vision getting chips mixed, like
Men of Vision, yeah.
But
I love those guys. I love those guys. The remix, I did multiple versions. I was real cool with the manager. I'm cool with all the guys, and I did the versions. And I let them have both. I did 2 or 3 versions, I think. But I was cool with them, man. I got paid for one version, but I was just like, yo, you take them, put it out,
Yeah, they're great mixes, man. What's your favorite country?
Favorite country that I visited. I'm just trying to think.
Not North Korea, is it? Dare I say that?
No, you know what I would have to say? I would have to be loyal and say America.
Fair enough. Fair
Like,
enough.
I have to be loyal.
That's
because
the right answer. That's the right answer.
because people got to explore their own country before they fall in love with something else. And there is so much that I haven't explored here. So I'm just being fair. I would have to say America, but I did enjoy everywhere that I went. There were places that I'm not going to mention that sucked to me, that I didn't really like. But
you can tell me and Stevie offline. That's fine.
Yeah. No, my son knows because he travels everywhere with me. My sons, they go everywhere.
It's good to see him on here, man. I
sent him the link. He goes everywhere to me. That's what we just talked about, spending some time in Iceland together. We were in Iceland for a few days.
Oh yeah, you did.
That was one of my favorite places to visit, and we talked about it, and it was so fun because I rented a nice condo right on the water, right at the ocean, right?
That's nice, man.
Right across from the whale watching. And we walked and we lived like we lived in Iceland. We walked to the supermarket, went grocery shopping.
Oh yeah.
Prices there were so cheap, and the quality of food was so good. I had real Parmesan cheese, like a real from the region. Like it wasn't like so I had I had real, everything was just real. And I came home or came back to our condo and I cooked every day and I made the most amazing meals. And he said he has pictures, so I'm gonna share the pictures. And it was just so cool to experience that, experience living there. And also the food was so good. It took forever to get served and everything was super expensive. Everyone knows that goes to Iceland, knows that it's the most expensive country in the world, I believe. Right?
Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah, it's number 1, I believe, or number 1 and number 2. But so we ordered a burger, right, in a Hero. They made everything from scratch. Like normally here in America, when you order something, they have everything already prepared and they put it together. The bacon's already pre-cooked and everything, tomato slice. No, this guy actually formed the patties, took raw bacon, cooked it, took a whole tomato out, sliced it, shredded the lettuce, everything right in front of us. So the sandwich actually took a long time, but it was perfect.
It was worth it, right?
No, this was in Iceland, and it was very expensive, but it was worth it. And this is why I wouldn't mind spending the type of money that we did in Iceland, because it is a great quality. and the food is just good there, and I have no complaints at all about Iceland. I actually want to go back.
I think undercover Iceland is your favorite country, just based on what
I think so too.
undercover, I think that might be your favorite country.
I tell people that, and they just say, "Oh, it's too cold," or "Oh," and they never been there before. But I said, you have to experience it. It's just different. Even though it didn't get dark at night, I didn't mind it because we had blackout shades. So it was cool. Everyone's pleasant. Everyone was pleasant. I didn't even see a police officer or anything. It was just like everyone's walking around taking pictures of the mountains, and it was a nice. I spoke to you before we went.
Yeah.
Because you were clowning us because we went to Luton. And I was like, what's so bad about that place? I was like, because
Luton is, I mean, it's improved a little bit, but for many years, Luton, and my apologies to anybody from Luton or Dunstable, it was voted the worst place in the United Kingdom for a long time. I'm just saying, man, I didn't say it. Whoever voted on that list, they said it. I didn't say anything.
I had issues at the hotel. When we went to the hotel, I was filing a complaint.
I want to say I'm shocked, but I'm not that shocked, honestly.
But I did go to a burger joint. The burger joint was okay. It wasn't bad.
Cool.
The burger joint wasn't bad, and I did go somewhere else. I think we went to there's a cheesecake factory there. I think we went to a cheesecake factory. Yeah, but besides that, yeah, it is. I probably wouldn't go back.
Yeah, unless you really need to.
Never,
but there are other places.
It's a flight to catch to go to Reykjavik. Right?
You should go and visit Stevie in Manchester. Manchester's amazing, great city.
Oh yeah. Manchester. I went through, but yeah, when we did the UK tour, we started in Glasgow and worked our way down with the Liverpool, Oxford, and everything. So we toured pretty much everywhere multiple times. It's always been pleasant over there. Always been pleasant. One thing about Oxford is that I probably would never visit that place again. Not saying that I had a bad experience.
Well, why? Well, you just said something. You said you never want to visit Oxford.
Yeah, I would probably never visit again.
Ever say that you never want to visit Oxford again? Everybody that goes there, they say they really like it. So what was it that you did?
All right, so I didn't like it because it wasn't as convenient as every other city. So there was really no Uber or anything like that. We had to walk. It was, our hotel was just, the proximity to everything was just not good. Everything closed early. But they treated me nice. The institution treated me very nice. It was really, really, really good there. And the students were really proficient and knowledgeable. So I was actually, they were really, really good music students. But yeah, it's not like I never heard anyone really say they loved Oxford from here.
Fair enough.
But what do people like about Oxford? What did I miss?
It's just a lot of history. It's nice walks, countryside. It's just
exactly. That's exactly what it is.
But if you want to get an Uber,
we had to walk.
More challenging.
And we did walk to it was a buffet. It was a buffet. It was pretty nice, but there was really nothing on the menu I liked. Nothing that they had I liked. So
fair enough.
I just felt it lacked a little culture. But maybe the culture is the mountainsides and the hills and the organic or the pasture-raised cows that I saw.
There is so much to see in the United Kingdom, I promise you. I mean, we haven't got as much things as you guys have in the States. You guys have got everything in the States, every weather system. You've got mountains, you've got beaches, you've got rainforest, you've got everything in America. But the United Kingdom has some cool stuff.
I love it. We toured we were in a Sprinter. So we toured and drove. We did Sprinter and train and bus. So we didn't really fly. We only flew from Netherlands to Italy, to Milan. That was the only flight, but everything else we were on the road, and I really enjoyed everything. And we did the cruise from UK to Netherlands and that was enjoyable. That was one of the highlights of the trip. The cabins were nice. It was just a really nice cruise, and I recommended that to someone that they're going to look into this summer.
Who Sorry, go on.
I love traveling. I'm going to travel again soon. You know, I have a higher ed book, textbook that just finished, is coming out September 1st. It's going to be available to students. But yeah, I'm going to probably do some lectures, and then accept some bookings for the winter.
I'm going to try and get through these quick fire questions. They're not very quick fire, are they? So apologies.
Okay.
Who are your main musical influences?
Teddy Riley, 1. Number 2, Debarge. Number 3, Babyface. Aretha Franklin. Oh, excuse me. I have so many, and that's why I'm just trying to tell you the top ones. But oh man,
Some good choices there, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to just think of just one more. And I already said Marvin Gaye, did I? I said Marvin Gaye, I believe. Oh, I got to say Prince and Michael Jackson.
Fair enough.
Prince and Michael Jackson. There are reasons why all my decisions and answers. I definitely have reasons behind each one. But just real quick for Prince and Michael Jackson, a little context. There's a musical genius. Both are really a musical genius, but Prince is a musical genius, and Michael Jackson is just a true artist. He's the definition of a true artist. So if you look at recording artists in the dictionary, it should be Michael Jackson, because everything is perfect. His mistakes are perfect, and not only that, he knows how to create excitement within his fan base, and he did that very well. And yeah, so
that's a good list.
Yeah.
Fish and chips in London or New York?
Oh, London, of course.
Fish
and chips in London, of course.
Just checking, man.
It was crunchy. It was good. It was just, I don't know. I think there's more of a competition with fish and chips there, because I had fish and chips at some off spot over there, and it was kind of good. So like, it's almost like getting a burger in Manhattan. Like, it's very difficult to find a bad burger in Manhattan.
Yeah, I find that with pizza as well, man. Pizza is great.
Yeah, it's very difficult to find a bad slice.
You guys have good pizza. Who is
the dirty water? That's why they use tap water, and the tap water is dirty. It's contaminated.
Oh.
And it adds to the yeast, and So
Stevie, we should skip the pizza in New York if it's made like that.
You know, they ship the water to other places. They ship the water to other places because they know it's the water. With bagels too in New York.
Fair enough. The tap water. Who is the king and queen of R&B?
King of R&B. That's hard right now.
As per Tony DOFAT, who is the king and queen?
That's very hard right now. That's difficult. The king.
No, you gotta be quick. Just.
All right, king of R&B. All right. I would say Chris Brown.
Okay, the queen.
Queen of R&B right now, I would say. Shoot, that's difficult. Oh man, I can't even answer that right now. Honestly, I can't even give you, because there are songs I can't really. I can't say.
We can come back to that. That's all right.
Yeah.
Who is the king and queen of hip hop?
Oh man. King of hip hop right now. Oh,
it doesn't have to be right now. It can be ever.
I would have to say, even though, 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 even tho I'm not like a super duper fan of him, but I would say Drake. Drake is there because he's the one that's my students don't like Drake. I just before the end of the term, I was like, who's a Drake fan in here? Out of 17 students, 0 raised their hands. But there was a time when I asked the same question 5 years ago, half the class raised their hand. So, Queen of R&B, I would say Beyonce. Sorry,
Okay.
no disrespect. Yeah, Beyonce. But I would say I would have to put Drake up there too because Drake got in the industry at the right time. And I think he's making songs that resonate with people, even though some people don't listen to him because he's too mainstream now. And I think that's why the younger kids don't really like him. But I think he makes good records, and he knows how to pull that off. So I would have to give him credit for that.
Okay.
But I have a list that's like kind of that's not really a mainstream list, but I would have to say Drake, and I would have to say Beyonce.
Okay. What's your favorite sandwich?
Sandwich?
Yeah, sandwich.
Oh man, I love the Italian, which is ham, pepperoni and cheese with lettuce, tomatoes, hot peppers, mayo on both sides of the bread, oil and vinegar, salt and pepper, and onions.
What type of bread?
Bread is the Italian bread.
All right. What creature comfort could you not live without?
What's that?
What creature comfort could you not live without? What
Creature comfort?
creature
Well,
comfort is something like I don't know, things that give you comfort, give you joy. What could you not live without?
Oh, things that give me joy?
Headphones. I don't know, something
like music.
A thing. It has to be a physical thing.
Oh, it has to be physical, something tangible. Okay, what can I live without?
Could be a pair of slippers, something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Simple as that.
Slippers. I like that. Is that your answer, Stevie? Is that your?
Yeah. That'll be my nice pair of slippers.
You can't leave home without your slippers.
Exactly.
Slippers. I would have to say, dang. I don't really. I'm a low maintenance person. I'm an electronics person, man. I would have to say computer or something. There's nothing. Or shorts. I would say shorts. Because you know what? I come home from work. First thing I do is put on shorts. I walk around my house with shorts. It's very strange for me, or rare, to see me walk around with sweats or pants. And when I do, when people come over, they say, "Oh, where'd you go?" So it's like I'm always wearing shorts and slides. But yeah, but me is more of electronics. And I wouldn't even say smartphone. I would say computer. I can do more and accomplish more on a computer. But even though today smartphones are computers, so.
Fair enough. What was the first concert you attended?
Oh, believe it or not, it was a rock concert. It was Adam Ant in the Romantics.
Yeah. The first concert was Adam Ant. That's a mad one.
Romantics. Remember the Romantics?
Were you into Adam Ant, Stevie?
Yeah. Back in the early 80s, yeah.
Yeah.
It was in the Birmingham, Alabama. Because, all right, so think about this. My mother moved to Birmingham when I was 14, and I was a hip hop kid. We go there. There's no hip hop culture at all. The radio station only played rock music. There was nothing urban in during that time in the 80s when I was that age. So I got into a lot of rock because that's all I was around. And so Duran, Hungry Like the Wolf, the Police. So Adam Ant was coming to town to do a show, and I was like, yeah, I want to get tickets. And that was the first concert I went to, and it was very loud. And I don't remember his songs. If I heard them now, I probably would, but I remember the Romantics, and it was. Yeah, I wouldn't go to the shows today.
Fair enough. But you know that jacket that Michael Jackson used to wear, the ones with the army one?
Yeah.
He was influenced by Adam Ant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Stand and deliver.
Stand and deliver. That's it, Stevie. All right, I've only got 2 more quick fire questions. This is the longest quick fire questions ever, but that's okay. That's me. But who is your greatest teacher?
My greatest teacher?
In any greatest teacher in life?
Oh, I would have to say my second grade teacher.
Nice, man. Why?
My second grade teacher encouraged me to play a part in this school play that I feel that I wasn't confident enough to do. So that's why it's very important when you're young, the words that you say to kids.
Yeah, man.
I was Prince Charming.
Very good. I like how you brought that back to Adamant. Very cool there. No, very nice. And my last question to you is, what would be your desert island album? If you could only take one album with you on a desert island, and that's the album you listen to forever, what would the album be?
It would be I have a few.
No cheating now, Tony. Only one album, bro.
Night and Day by I'll Be Sure.
What? That's crazy. Why? Why Night and Day?
The album. That's his first debut album.
Yeah.
In
effect, right? In effect mode.
Between him and Cal West was so dope. They really used very minimal type of studio equipment there. I believe it was only one keyboard. And it was just the songwriting on it, the backgrounds, Terry Robinson and everyone that did the backgrounds, the harmonies on it. Roy Shamir, an incredible engineer, a great friend of mine. I think it was just the great combination of everything. And that's an album that I'll play right now, like from start to finish. Every song, start to finish. And and that right there was a turning point when I started distinguishing the difference between a recording artist and a performer. Because not saying that Al is not a great performer, but I think his studio album is better than the performance. And also with a couple of other artists where they just do well in studio records as opposed to performance. And I think that I studied that record so much, and yeah, I think it played a great influence on my career as well. And I still study that record to this day. And I talked to Rowie about it as well, about a lot of the tricks and things that he used for that project and how many times they overdub vocals and the stacks of harmonies and how, just all of those things. And it was really innovative for that time. So, yeah, and you got to think about me too. I'm more of a tech head too. So I'm really intrigued by all of the application and how it was put together, all of the tech part of it as well.
I wasn't going to ask this, but if you're interested by the technology and like how sounds are created, were you ever interested in what the Beatles did? Like they were very experimental with their sound.
I studied the Beatles too. I teach it. I teach a portion of Beatles in my survey of music production class, and very. I love a lot of their their methods. The same with Hendrix. They were very experimental after the first album. They started experimenting in a lot of things, a lot of tape manipulation, and things, and also just the method of recording their first album, how they just recorded so quickly, just the vibe, and just listening to their outtakes and how they, just their entire method. It was raw. It was just a lot of raw talent that was put together, and I think the Beatles was great. I think a lot of the recording methods that Hendrix did as well. And also, who else did I want to say? Beatles, the Beach Boys too. I would put all of them in the same category because I studied their growth from their first album to the second and third, and just watched how how they transform into more experimental things and advancing along with technology. So that's one of the things when technology advanced, and they were just so innovative that they were just doing things that weren't supposed to happen during those times, and just making the best out of what you had. And all of us did that. I did that at the beginning as well when we didn't have microphones and we were singing through headphones. It's a it's a microphone and a headphones are transducers, the same thing. It converts signals to audio, so it just works backwards.
Fair enough. Stevie, you got any questions?
We could do a few viewer ones because I know we still got the viewers with us. Where have they all gone? Hold on.
All there. So somebody had asked, what was your relationship like with Andre Harrell?
That's a good question.
Oh yeah, it was dope. Andre Harrell was dope. He always spoke the truth. He was always straight to the point. He liked something, didn't like it, whatever. He was just a straightforward person. He was a trendsetter. And and all of these great executives had incredible marketing skills. They didn't come from marketing backgrounds, but they understood the culture and understood what people wanted, and they facilitated in giving the people what they wanted. And if you weren't the right person, he would make sure the right person is going to make it happen. So that's a talent in itself. Executives are talented people. A lot of people look at executives as pencil pushers, but the executives I know have talent. Max Goose, for example, talented executive. Saint Haraway, talented executive. There are not many, but there are a few that are talented, and there are some that just go with what other people say or go by metrics and not believing in what they feel has potential to be successful. So, there's different era though.
How did it vary between Puffy's approach and Andre Harrell's approach as an executive producer? How were they different?
Well, they pretty much weren't different at all, and that's probably one of the issues. They weren't different, but Puff was moving faster because he had different goals. Well, they had the same ultimate goal, but Puff ultimately knew that he was going to be his own boss, become his own boss, right? So the breakup that happened was inevitable. It was inevitable, and but that's one thing about the industry, and one thing about even everyone that Andre hires and everyone that Puff hired. There's a certain characteristic to get hired by those executives and those moguls, is that they like those that have entrepreneurial spirits. That's why everyone that left those executives became entrepreneurs, because we want people that make decisions on their own. We don't want people calling us every 5 seconds and say, do this or do that. What should I do? We want an extension of us. So we want you to make your own decision and make sure it's the right decision, and understand that your job lies on that decision that you make, right? So you have to that's your risk, that every decision you make, your job depends on that, or you risk your job for every decision. So understanding that means you understand entrepreneurship. So that's why everyone that left became a successful entrepreneur, because that's what attracts a lot of executives and those that are in position. So when you think about it, you don't want, if you hire a staff of 10 people, you don't want 10 people calling you every 5 seconds asking you what to do. Then why would I need you if I gotta tell you what to do?
Yeah.
You know, in relation to that I'll Be Sure album that you was talking about earlier, when you, because obviously, you know, it starts from, you've done the Mary J. Blige, the Rough House Survivors, Christopher Williams, 1992. With your sound, did you realize in 92, I'm like, this is the end of New Jack Swing now, and we're moving into, was you aware of that at the time, or?
Yeah, well, that was a conscious decision that we were doing. We didn't try to compete with New Jack Swing, but there was a turn. It was a new era. There was a new era of kids that were coming up, that where hip hop was kind of taking over. So what we did was make everyone decide, and that was just pushing more of the hip hop, or more of New York hip hop, I would say. Just pushing more of New York hip hop and combining that with R&B records. So New Jack Swing wasn't dead or didn't die during that time, but we were just pushing more of the New York hip hop under the R&B. And once we caught on, and once we saw how the youth was resonating with that sound, we just kept pushing it, and we had the force behind it. Uptown Records and Andre, make more, make more. You know, it's like make more, make more. Okay, we're gonna stay in the studio. So I go to the studio, we make more. Puff goes out and parties. He does his part. He goes out and party, right? And come back and say, yo, we gotta do it like this, because he had his ear to the street and to the clubs. And then he would direct me with what to do. I was the lab rat. I was the one that never really went out. I was the one in there doing, putting the records together. So, it worked well. The partnership worked very well.
I was looking at one of your credits, and this one I found a bit interesting. So you did a track with Club Nouveau. Was it called
Let It Go?
Get it back, get it up.
Let It Go. It was Let It Go.
So there was you. You were working with Nesto Velasquez. You were. It was on Rip It Records.
Yeah.
With Louis Bell.
Yeah.
That just sounds like a crazy combination, man. Like what's going on there? How did that come about, man?
The song is called Let It Go. Rip It Records is from Florida. They're from Orlando. Right. Rip It Records signed the group 95 South. It was. They did. Whoop, there it is. Right. They had Thrill the Player was there. So they invited me down and Nesto down. They invited us down to one of their shows because they wanted to do a deal with Nesto. They wanted to do a deal with me as a producer. And when Nesto left Uptown Records, they got a hold of my records with Nesto, Appetite for Love, Baby Go Down, and the other records. And they wanted to sign Nesto. So they flew us down to Orlando. I remember the whole thing.
Rip It wanted to sign Nesto.
Yeah, we had to deal
with that's a big revelation this evening. Very big revelation that we knew nothing about.
We had a deal on the table. I remember they drove us around. They brought us to somebody's front yard. They were making jerk chicken, like real Jamaican jerk chicken, chopping it up. He was like, "This is the best jerk chicken I've ever had." That's what they were saying. We had jerk chicken. Then we went to their house. So their house had a studio in it. It was just a studio house. And then they came to my house, but they came to my house before that, actually. And I played them all the records, and then they invited us to Florida. So that's how we got together. And then they said, also, Tony, we signed Club Nouveau. And we want you to produce their next single. I was like, no problem. So I said, Nesto, help me write the song, help me write the song. So that's how Nesto got on the song. I had a drummer come in, do the drums, and some instrumentalists, some guitarists, I believe, and we wrote the song, Let It Go. And yeah, so Nesto wrote that, and that's how we did it, and we did it on Rip It Records. And then for some reason, the deal with Nesto didn't go through. I don't really know. Kind of know, but not really. But yeah, the deal didn't happen, and that was it. Yeah, but it could have changed a lot of things because I had 4 good records on him already.
We know you did, bro. We know you did. That would have been. It would have been nice if the world can hear all of this stuff.
Do you know? Do you know what? I met Louis Bell. I went to Rip It Records in 1996, and I met Louis Bell. And he had a tape. He had a cupboard full of tape cassettes.
Yeah, he has a Nesto records too.
He's probably got, and there was he had Rob. You remember Rob from 911?
Yeah,
he had his second album in his cupboard, and that never came out either. He played us tracks from Rob's second album that never came out as well.
Yeah, so
he's got a whole bunch of stuff there. Just I don't know what's happened to all that stuff then.
If he would have, if Nesto would have, if he would have signed Nesto, it would have been amazing.
I bet he's still got them tapes. He's probably still got them tapes.
Nesto would have been on an indie label that had resources, and he would have received all of the attention that he deserved. Nesto's very talented, but I think Nesto was probably lacking good management, I would say, and I've seen a lot of artists not have their deals follow through because of management. Because as an artist, you gotta remember this. As an artist, you need a buffer. You can't, even though there may be issues, you can't be the one to complain, because then you're going to be looked at as difficult to work with. So you need a buffer, someone to be the bad guy, and that bad guy is going to complain for you. And that's, I think, what Nesto needed. I think he was too verbal too early on in his career without having the track record, So, and I see a lot of artists go through that and shoot themselves in the foot, not knowing.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
They just want a fair chance. And they just want to be artists, but then, in order to do that, in order to make demands, you have to have a proven track record in order to do that. Let's say you come out and you sell 1 million records, and yeah, you can go to the label and say whatever the hell you want. And they're going to be like, okay, yes, sir, no problem. I know you heard of the stories when some particular artist came and smashed chairs through the reception area, right? Those are public stories that happened at Uptown Records.
You may have heard something about that, Tony.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's very well documented. That is, it's a shame. It's a shame.
But when they sell a lot of records, I guess I'm not saying that. I'm not condoning that, but you have more of a right to do that when you sell a lot of records. But I'm not promoting people to do that at all.
Yeah.
But,
fair enough. We had a question from somebody earlier, and they were asking about, I don't know how you pronounce the artist name, GIA. Is it Gia?
Gia, yeah, Gia. I did. Gia, I remember them.
So was it a group? Was it an artist? What's the story?
The girl group, I believe. I produced something for them, right?
I don't know anything. Somebody's asked a question about Gia. To me, I've never heard of them before. So
do something. I believe Gia.
Female group called Gia. Could you possibly share any information on this?
Yeah. I'm not reading the box. I don't know who's in here, but yeah, it's Gia. I remember Gia. I forgot what label they were signed to, but I did records for them.
What years? Do you know approximately when that was?
Man, I don't remember. I got to go back to my old discography. I have no idea, but I remember Gia.
Big shout to Zach for digging deep with that question, by the way. I didn't know that either.
You never heard of it.
I think they were signed to RCA. I think Harv Pierre went to RCA after Bad Boy and then went back to Bad Boy. When he went to RCA, he signed the girl group. Now it's coming back. And I think Kia Jeffries is a writer. And I think Kia Jeffries was a vocalist too. And she was part of the group Gia. And I think there were 2 or 3 girls. And I produced records for them.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
So it came back that record. So you can look up Kia Jeffries.
Kia
She's
Jeffries.
Kia, KIA Jeffries. Yeah.
I'm sure I've heard that name, Kia.
I know that name. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were called. Zach saying they were later called Forecast.
Ah, right. That makes more sense.
I think so. Yeah, you're bringing it back. Yeah, I believe so, man. Yeah, dang, that's crazy. That's real crazy.
Zach doing a Zach is brilliant, isn't he?
What happens? I'm just working. I'm a robot in the studio, just making records all day and just putting out records. And yeah, it's just difficult.
Yeah.
I have something right here. I have some. Somebody asked me for the track listing.
Well, what is that?
It was promo CD, very limited. This is a Summer of Bad Boy.
Oh, I've never seen that. That's good. What's on there?
Look. And look at the CD. It was really rough.
Wow, big budget. You've gone all out on that one. You spent all of 20.
Right? So yeah, there's good stuff on here.
Oh man. That's incredible, man.
Yeah, I have a couple of those. But they didn't have so that's why I only got two, but normally I would have more.
You did some work, lots of work with Terry Robinson, right? Over the years?
Yeah. Terry's the homie. Terry's sang on Truthful for me. She sang on
Truthful was the beginning. Was that the beginning with you and Terry Robinson?
Yeah, she did Truthful. She did backgrounds on Mary J. She did oh my God, she did a lot. She did damn, I gotta Google it. We did a lot of records together, Terry and I. She's really good with harmonies. She's really good with creating different textures with the vocals and the voice.
And she's a good really good songwriter. Really good songwriter.
Yeah, incredible songwriter. That's right. And I didn't even mention songwriting, but she's songwriting over everything. Really good songwriter. She wrote for Total. I remember. I'm just trying to create a memorable experience with Terry. Very easy to work with. Very, very easy to work with, and that's what I like. I like a vocalist, and I like people that are easy to work with, make my job easier.
Fair enough. And we touched upon this earlier. We were talking. I was talking about your influence on Heavy D.
Yeah.
Do you see that? Like what like as an outsider looking in, like do you see what I'm saying? Like because his sound, I gave the example of Changing Faces, Baby Your Love.
Yeah.
That he did the Gerald Levert. He did a remix for Answering Service, I think.
Yeah. With Heavy is he really liked my sound in my ear, and we would just share a lot of records together. Like when I just started producing, he supported me a lot, and he gave me a lot of records to listen to perfect in order for me to perfect my craft and in my ear. And I still have some of the CDs he gave me. Like he gave me a Motown Christmas CD.
Okay.
And just said, use that, listen to a sample from that and certain things. So he gave me a lot of things to help my career. And at the same time, once I became more established, I began to influence him, which is kind of crazy. Which is why our relationship was pretty special, because we helped each other, in a sense, in different parts of our lives. We helped each other, and
you mentioned that he helped you in life. Like when you say he helped you in life, what do you mean by that?
He gave me a lot of gems. Like he told me, like, if it doesn't breathe, don't love it. And I say that to this day. So he meant, like, I remember one time, I went to when I bought some jewelry. Before anyone becomes successful, you always say you're never going to do something till you get the money. Never gonna spend over 500 on a watch. Never gonna do this or never do that. You know, when you get nice checks, then 5,000 doesn't really mean anything the same anymore. So yeah, I bought a Rolex. Um, Not with my first money, but yeah, I eventually bought a Rolex. That was like around 7 grand or something like that. And then we got to a point where we just gifted each other watches like Breitlings. He introduced me to Breitlings. You know, he bought me one as a gift. I bought him one. Um, those were around 7 grand.
You guys were good friends to each other, giving each other Breitlings. That's a gift, man. That's something, man.
Yeah,
That's
but then I went and bought a diamond choker before guys wore diamonds, right? I bought a diamond choker in a bracelet. It was like 70 carats.
wow.
And yeah, everyone was like looking at it like crazy. And he told me this. Um, he said, if it doesn't breathe, don't love it. That's the first thing. That's his whole philosophy in life. That's why he loved everyone. So if it doesn't breathe, don't love it. And he said, watch tone. He said, after everyone sees it, for the first few times, then once the hype dies, you're not even going to want to wear it anymore. Like he would give me gems like that because he lived that life already. And after you wear it, and you wear it for yourself, but you mainly wear things like that, for other people. And then after the hype dies, then you don't feel like it has any value anymore. So, but those things you got to kind of live through in order to understand. And those are things that he just taught me before I had to live through it. So there were a lot of things like we lived together for years. We lived together. So I was just looking at pictures of us like in the pool, diving board, just us. We had private chef, and just living with someone, being housemates with someone for a long time. Every day we just learned different things, and I met a lot of celebrities through him, a lot of his friends, Chris Tucker, Chris Rock, Arsenio Hall, Mike Tyson. They would just come to the house on a regular basis, and I just learned so much. And um, and I'm not discrediting anything or discounting anything from that. I will always mention that, like, just not even just the musical side of working with him, just life experiences.
He strikes me as somebody with a great deal that had a great deal of humility. Was he as kind and caring as we all think he was? Because I never met him.
Yeah, he is. He is. He is. Like I told you, like what he said. If it doesn't breathe, don't love it. Just for someone to say something.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That is.
Yeah, that's what, when you think in that manner, it changes your whole perspective on a lot of things. Like you don't become materialistic. You got to understand, um, value life over materialistic, right? Over goods.
What how did you first meet Heavy D? How was that first interaction? How did you meet? Where were you?
He came to my house. His older brother and sister were friends with my older brother and sisters. So they would come visit because they went to school together. So they would come to my house and they would bring him along as a younger brother. And I was there as the younger brother. And I was 9 years old, I remember. And he would come over and I would play Kraftwerk. You remember the band from Germany? Kraftwerk.
Right up Stevie Street. You like a bit of Kraftwerk, don't you, Stevie?
Bit of old Tour de France.
Yeah. Tour de France. So I would play Numbers, that record Numbers, and Trans Europe Express, and he would would dance to that record. He would dance to that, and that's when and every time he came over, I would put it on. I'd be like, "Yo, dance to the record," and he would dance. He would like pop to the record, like break dance almost. And it was dope because he was a little chubby kid, and he would dance to the record. So that's when I first met him. And then next thing I know, his record was on the radio. Because he came out when he was young. He was like 16. Oh no, second time I saw him in school. He was a grade older over me. And I was playing football. And we had to scrimmage. I was in 8th grade, he was in the 9th grade. And we had to scrimmage the freshman. And I remember we were guarding each other. So that was, but then after that, then he was Heavy D and the Boys. And I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy, from Mount Vernon and Heavy, that's Heavy. And then I would see him after that. And I wasn't making records or nothing. I was in college and stuff. I wasn't making records. But then I started getting into records, and I told him I was getting into records. He said, listen to these CDs. He told me, he was like motivating me. He was one of those friends to motivate me to do, to listen to certain types of music. And then I did all of the records. I did the Mary record and all this stuff. And we still didn't work together until Puff executive produced Blue Funk. And he said, yeah, Dofat, I want you to produce Heavy. And I was like, yo, that's crazy, because that's like my boy. So Puff was the one that made me produce Heavy.
How interesting, that full circle moment there. Somebody you've known since you were little, you were 9 years old, you've known him all that time, you've seen each other in the neighborhood.
Yep, and I didn't produce him until Puff said, I want you to produce him. And so I feel that I earned that, because I didn't get on because Heavy was my boy. I was directed from the executive producer that I felt that my music was good enough to produce him. And I did the first 2 singles. And not because of friendship or anything, it's because my records were good for the project. So
those were the right singles, though, man. Stevie, what singles what do you think of Blue Funk? Who's the Man and Truthful? They were great singles, man.
Totally, yeah, totally.
Really good singles. I mean, what would you pick ahead of that? I don't know. I don't know if I'd pick anything ahead of those 2 singles as first singles.
I mean, that album was a bit of a shift in direction for Heavy D anyway, but I felt like Truthful did have a little R&B hook in it, which was remnant from his other albums, so that did make sense.
Yeah, it was a big shift.
It's a big shift, but I think it was the right thing to do, because, like you say, New Jack Swing was really fading out. By 93, that East Coast hip hop sound was booming everywhere. Like I say, the Jeeps, it was the sound of that year. Even R&B it had a Jeep feel to it. A lot of the R&B that was coming out had the Jeep beats, so it made sense. Really, it did make sense. And I think that album is so underrated. That album is so underrated.
Yeah, a lot of people claim that as one of his best, as a top hip hop album. I saw somewhere in some blog, in some magazine, it was a top rated New York hip hop album. And a lot of people like that because it was just a different sound for Heavy D. So, and you got to think about, the time it was me, Pete Rock, and DJ Premier on the record.
That was it. That was it, right? That's a great set of producers.
At that time, we were the top hip hop producers during that time, and I remember there was a lot of friendly competition that Puff was creating to try to make us outdo each other. And he would say, "Oh, Pete just did this fire ass beat, yo, you got to make something hotter now." So he just battery packed all of us to just keep making hotter beats for a great project. So that's how that worked out. And that was my first time going to LA too. I flew to LA on that date. I remember the date because that's the day that I opened up my frequent flyer account for American Airlines. So when I look at that date, that's the first time I flew to LA and I produced Heavy D, Blue Funk, and I flew with Puff. We were in coach. We were like in the last row. And yep, I remember. And then we went downstairs, rented a car. We rented a Lexus. And then Puff drove us to the hotel. We stayed at the Mondrian. And I remember everything like it was yesterday. We worked at Sound Castle Studios.
You're not going to forget all that, though, really. You can't, they're unforgettable.
They're core memories.
Yeah.
And I remember we were listening to the beats driving down Sunset, and Puff was driving like a maniac. It was just he was driving, I was sitting in the passenger seat, and he just kept rewinding Who's the Man beat. He just kept rewinding the Who's the Man beat, blasting it.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you, like, and you can answer this, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but what happened to Heavy D? Because he seemed healthy. He seemed smaller, he seemed fit.
Yeah.
And then we just heard the news that he'd gone, and it was like, it was horrible because Heavy D was ours, he was ours because it was really weird, man.
Yeah, well, it comes from also, you just have to maintain your, we could work out and do everything, eat right and everything, but we don't really know what's going on with us if we don't do blood tests. That's one of the reasons why I do my routine blood work every 60 days, just to see what's going on, check my organs and things like that. But he was dealing with, he had pneumonia prior to that. He went to London, I believe. Came back. He was sick, I remember, and it was a blood clot. So, there could have been preventative measures. I feel that if he, would have probably did his routine blood work, and that's what happened with a lot of artists that just pass away, and producers that pass away. A lot of them don't really do their checkups, and that's why my friends in the industry now, they have insurance, and I tell them, go to the doctor, get your blood work done. You don't really know what's going on unless you get you get your blood work done. So a lot of them didn't really have people to encourage them to do it, and a lot of people are scared to find out results of if something's wrong. So you got to look at it like they're afraid, and then they also don't have people, because it's not like a routine thing that, especially in the African American community, we don't really take mental health serious, and we don't really take our health for granted. So and that's one thing that we have to change. We have to change that within our community. We have to take mental health a lot more serious, and we have to take our health a lot more serious. And I think we can live a very prosperous and healthy life if we do take it more serious.
There's a guy called Dayu that's just put up a comment just now, and he's just said a pulmonary embolism sounded plausible from the autopsy, but it's still hard to accept that he left in those circumstances. It's very hard to think of somebody so young just because they didn't have a health checkup. And I hear this about a lot of musicians, people that haven't looked after themselves. There's a prominent percussionist, I don't want to mention the name, but he had 3 bypass operations. He had 3. And he used to tour a lot, like really prolific performer. He'd be all over the planet. I mean, his air miles must have been ridiculous. He was on a flight every day, every other day. And he said, I can't miss this concert. And he was told that he needed a 4th bypass, and he didn't have it because he wanted to go to the show. But if you're not here, you can't go to the show, man.
Yeah, you can't play with your health like that.
Can artist lifestyles be really that healthy though? Because it's not a 9-to-5 job, is it? It's 24/7.
Yeah, so just to explain, to give you a little more context, you do what you do as long as it's done. No one cares about, and people don't care about health or nothing, none of that stuff. They care about just getting the art done. You stay up for 3 days straight. You eat whatever you can, whenever you can, whatever's accessible. are readily available. As you begin to make money, then you try to make an effort to change your lifestyle. But yeah, coming up, grinding, yeah, there were times where we didn't sleep for days, where we would eat whatever we wanted at all hours of the night. That's why a lot of us, were overweight at one point in our lives. Um, we have a lot of us have insomnia because our bodies are just trained to just work 18 hours a day. For doing that for a decade or more. So yeah, we put a lot of wear and tear on our bodies, almost like athletes in a sense, but not just physical. We do a lot of mental damage to ourselves. Um, yeah, so so I understand when artists lash out, when there are some like they just want to live their lives. They've committed themselves and their lives to the art for decades, and then they just want to be themselves. So that's all understandable. Like Michael Jackson, to me, he's perfectly fine. People think that he was a little weird, but no, he just wants to be a person, a regular person, live his life.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember that he dedicated his, self to the art since he was a kid. So he never got a chance to live a life, regular life. And then when you think that someone's at the top and they have everything, they don't. Person that has everything has nothing. And they look at someone that's home making scrambled eggs and become envious of that person because they're doing something normal. And that's what I did when I made the transformation. I was showing Puff in the studio, and I remember he said, "Damn, Dofat, you got too much time in your hands." I said, "Why?" Because I want to do regular stuff. Like I was just doing regular stuff, and I felt that was a little weird because I like to cook. And this was before, and I'm like, maybe you should cook an egg or something. You have a chef and stuff. Do you know how to cook? You need to learn, do regular stuff. So, yeah. So as you know, I like to do regular things. We went record shopping. We walked down backpacking and stuff. That's what I like. It's a balance.
It's like
And
Jodeci from Tribe Called Quest. He left the Tribe Called Quest so he could cook because he wanted to cook. Sometimes
yeah,
you got to do what you got to do, and it's not like he was left the Tribe Called Quest. He was always a part of the Tribe Called Quest, and when they
yeah,
did that last album, he came back, but he wanted to cook.
yeah. We regular people, and sometimes we get lost in stardom, and sometimes we get lost in all of the other stuff because how other people view us. But there always need to be a balance. There always need to be a balance, and there always need to be a switch that you can turn on and turn off. But at the end of the day, we are human beings. We're loving creatures. We like to do regular things and not always want to be you know, the light shining in the room.
Yeah.
So, so I understand artists when they're like, I'm just done with it. Kanye goes on the rant. Cool, that's Kanye. You got to accept him for what he is. Not saying that I condone all the things that he say, but I understand the rants. You feel me? I understand it. Um,
And so when I think of Tony DoFat, I think of you as the original hitman.
yeah,
So Puffy had the hitmen, his
yeah,
group of producers. I
yeah,
think of you as the beginning, the very beginning for Puffy using other producers and
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
was
yeah,
there.
yeah. I would definitely say that, proudly say that, and then I would say Rashad came in after me because there were times where Rashad and I worked together with Avon Marshall. Marshall, I believe, brought Rashad in because they were a duo. Avon Marshall played keyboards on a lot of the Mary stuff, and then also Daddy O did one thing. But after that, then we had then Stevie and then Chucky. So, but there was a time where I vanished. That was a time when I vanished. So I it was the Mary second album, right? Because I did all the demos for everyone. I did a lot of stuff, but there were some business things that when Puff and I didn't work out. So I decided to sever ties, right? And then he was saying, "Oh, we got to do this Mary second album, the My Life album," and I felt that at that point, I could stand on my own 2 feet, and you could stand on your own 2 feet, and that Mary album was like a dangling a carrot in front of a horse, but it's easy for me to say no, and I walked away from so many situations, and I just walked away from it because it wasn't right. I felt it wasn't right.
When you think of that time, do you think you made the right decision, or was it the wrong decision, or was it the right decision at the time? Do you regret any of that?
No.
Or it is what it is.
I don't regret it because I think it was the right decision because I see the things that happened after. And it's nothing worse than entering into a bad deal because you wake up every day hating the deal that you're in. And I would not want that type of regret. I would have regretted that.
Sure.
It was the right decision. After what we've heard about what other producers, artists went through with Bad Boy, it sounds like you got out at the right time to me. Just at the right time.
Yeah, because the worst thing is waking up knowing that you're in a bad deal and knowing that you're stuck in a bad deal for a long time. I did that one time because I trusted the CEO of the company, and after the deal happened, CEO shifted. So now all the promises that were made were no longer an obligation because he didn't exist there anymore. So, and I avoided that, and I'll never do it again. I'll never do a bad deal or a deal that's not in my favor or not equal. Never doing that again because there's no worse feeling than waking up knowing that you're in a bad deal and can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
If that's your life, that's your life, that's your livelihood, right? So imagine you getting into a deal knowing that you're giving all your rights away, and so you wake up the next day to make songs for someone else. That wasn't my situation. I'm not going to discuss the things that were in my contract, but a lot of things weren't in my favor.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. So
that's okay.
But then we maintained our friendship, and then Heavy was the one that called me in 1999 or 2000. And he was like, "Yo, Puff, want to talk to you. I think you need to get back together." That's what Hev said. Hev was the one. So I was like, "All right, tell Puff, here's my number." Puff calls immediately. Said, "Hey, Dofat, yo, we both better with each other as opposed to without. We need to get back together." So these are his exact words. He said, "We're better together than apart." He said, "What do you want?" And I was like, "Let's talk. I'll talk to you about it. I'm not against it, And Hev told me that, we got a lot of things happening. So then I remember, I went to the office and we talked, and then that's when I signed management. I signed management in 2000, so I became official in 2000, but the deal was under my terms.
That's great, man.
So you seem to have done then what a lot of artists, producers didn't do in the 90s. You didn't sign everybody else signed a bad deal. You didn't.
Yeah, because I already had my publishing deals going on. I already had my production deals with Universal. So I'm already doing everything. So what I did with him, I did an employment contract and I did management. So I was an employee. I was an executive making a salary. And then at the same time, I was producing. And there was all the other stuff that I didn't want in there carved out. He was like, fine, because he at that point he needed restructuring. and I was there to help restructure the label on the music side, on the production side, because everyone left. A lot of people left, but we did have artists, but there was no structure.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, with the Hitmen, when I think of the Hitmen, I think of like a very successful sports team. I like to compare it to like a successful sports team.
Yes.
And any successful sports team that succeeds, they tend to work together. Were you a team, or was there like animosity? Was there like jealousy that this guy's doing that, this guy's doing that, or was it copacetic?
No, not at all. You'll notice that every song had multiple producers on credits, because how it worked was like a factory. If you were in the studio and you had an idea, you contribute, you became a co-producer. So there were many songs where I would jump in, or I would do drums, or where I would mix the record, or Stevie J would come and play, or I would just ask Stevie, you'll play some guitar on this. Or I asked Mario Wanez, you'll do a bass line on this. And we just did it together. We knew collectively. That's one thing about the producers there. We already understood the assignment. We knew that we're doing this collectively. Not one of us, we're making this record hot on our own. So, and there was always friendly competition. There was never real animosity. There was always friendly competition, and all those producers, J Dub, everyone up there, D Dot, they're all great collaborators, and there's never any type of hate. They always spoke the truth, whether they liked something or didn't like anything, and they're still my boys to this day. Right now, I speak to them on a regular, all of them. So
no egos.
Yeah, no egos at all. I mean, that's what made, I think, the record successful. Because when you deal with people with egos, then there are going to be some that'll be like, well, you can't use my record, or you can't do this, and the records would never come out because there would be a copyright claim on it from the beginning. So, yeah, there was never issues with egos or none of that stuff.
That's great to hear, because like, as a music listener and a collector, and you have certain producers, certain cliques that you are drawn towards. It's nice to hear from you that you guys just work together. I mean, there was a lot of producers as well. There's a lot of Hitmen.
Everyone worked together. It was fun. A lot of people, a lot of cracking going on, like snapping. Sessions were always fun. Not really, no issues at all. I mean, that's how. I mean, everyone's there with the same goal. Everyone's there to make a good record, a great record.
In your opinion, who was the talent, like the best of the Hitmen? Like just as your musical ears, like not from
difficult, because honestly, that's difficult. That's really difficult to say, because man, there's just so much talent there. There's just so much talent. There's just so much talent. That's very difficult to say. Because if any one of them wanted to collab with me, I would just confidently close my eyes and know that it's going to be something great. Right? So it's really difficult, And when it comes to like musicianship, we have Chucky, Mario, and Stevie, all super talented. I'm surprised there wasn't a band.
Like, it would have been crazy, man. It
would have been a band, honestly. Because everybody could sing too.
Yeah.
It could have been a band, especially with the songwriters there. Oh man, it could have been a band.
And how did it feel for you? Like, so you were working with Puffy for a period, then you stopped because the deal wasn't right for you. Then Heavy D comes in and he gets the boys back together. How was it coming back into that fold again? Like, did it feel like you'd come home?
It was a lot different. A lot of people shifted. A lot of chaos was going on because there was no real order. This was during the transition from analog to digital. Files were misplaced. Tapes were lost. DATs were all over the place. So I was responsible for first building catalog, building available beats, separating those, going through those, assigning those to the artists that were signed, doing the demos on the artists to secure a new deal because the deal with Arista was gone. So there was no distribution at that time. So we had to build it from the beginning up. And this is when we did the deal with Universal. So this is why I did the demos for pretty much everyone. Went to the meetings. I remember the meetings that we went to. And it was, and then structure came. And then structure, and then I started bringing in more writers, and then I had writer meetings with writers and Puff, and introduced them to more writers to come through, introduced them to producers, and started bringing producers in. So just started creating a new wave of talent, and then things started, working. And then after it got to a certain point, then I got off for salary and just became the in-house producer. So salary ended because there were a lot of things that we didn't agree with the salary. I could just tell you this: my salary, I'm not going to give you a figure, but it was supposed to double after a certain time, and also I couldn't manage the schedule that he demanded. I wasn't going to do like those other people, like the assistants and everything, where you only go home for 2 hours and come back. I was like, no, if I leave at midnight, I need to leave 12 hours to myself. I'll be back at noon, but you don't expect me to be here at 11 a.m. every morning, especially when I leave at 5 in the morning. That's not going to happen. So he took the initiative to say, hey, let's talk. We've known each other our entire lives. I don't want this employment thing to come between our friendship. So it might be best for you to just resign, and I'll keep you on salary for 6 more months. Don't worry about it, but just maintain our friendship and just focus on being in-house producer. So that's when I did Making the Band. So I left the employment stuff, which I was happy with, and just stuck to production. So, but at that time, it was up and running, So,
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So so I understood that, and I understood how our friendship could have been really bad because we didn't agree, or because it's hard to work with friends. It's hard to be an employer, and he saw that, and he probably realized that from his past experiences, and he valued the friendship more than me working as an employee.
And how was it doing that project with the band? Like, how was that? Like, how did you enjoy that process?
That was difficult as hell. Because I don't want to be on TV. I didn't know I was going to be on TV to that extent. But hey, working with people that they picked for me and that never recorded before, and making something that didn't exist, and I got to do it in real time on TV. Very difficult. Wearing a microphone 18 hours a day under the camera lights. So very hard, because I like privacy when I create. Because it's a state of vulnerability when you create, when you write. So I don't like a lot of strangers around me. So I had to do the complete opposite. I had to do it under cameras and lights. So most of the beats I created on the set, but a lot of the beats I just went home to make and then brought it back. But it was very difficult. But yeah, he gave me a major role in that. I produced the entire album and co-executive produced it and mixed everything and engineered everything. And it sold over 600,000 units the first week, 600,000 physical units first week.
That was a thing, man. That was a thing. Physical units. Where did they go, man? What the hell, man? What's this digital shit, man?
Yeah, shout out to D-Dot for that. He was a co-executive producer too. D-Dot definitely did his A&R thing. D-Dot's an incredible A&R. He has a vision. D-Dot is He has a vision, and he follows through with the vision. He's a great motivator, a great coach, great leader. I would say D that is, um, and a collaborator too.
And Tony, I just wanted to say, so Stevie, my friend here, he has convinced me to. He's got me into buying reissues. So, and all my money's gone, man. There's no money left. It's all gone. It's all. I spent it all on reissues, man.
Oh
So
man,
we appreciate physical copies.
yeah.
We just do. But no, it was I was also going to say, you going back a few minutes, you were talked about archiving and all of that.
Yeah.
The first job that interested me was that of a garbage collector. I was 3 or 4 years old, 5 years old, and I loved the idea of the garbage collector. I don't know. I was little, yeah. So give me a little bit of slack, guys. So I'm looking out my window, and there's crap everywhere on the street, and then these guys come along and they just pick it up and they clear it. I'm like, wow, that looks so clean, man. They did that shit. That's amazing. Like that was, and archiving is a little bit like that. And I'm starting. I'm doing a contract.
Well, you're relating archiving to collecting garbage.
No, no, it's I'm going to connect these dots in a second. So I'm starting a new role. It's a contract role where there's a company in the city, and they need to sort out some of their filing and make it all tidier. That sounds like what you just said about the music. That sounds like an incredible project. I'd love to be involved in something like that.
Yeah,
How
that was
a job like that? I want to be that garbage collector.
putting everything in DAT in all different formats and combining that and consolidating that and naming those and then filing them. And finding songs that were incomplete that had super potential. Things were all over the place. Trust me, they were everywhere. I was also responsible for creating digital files from every master.
But that sounds like a dream job to me, man. That sounds amazing. Like to be responsible for that. Wow.
Yeah, so it was just so having all access to all the reference tracks. It was just, and what made it dope is that these were multi-platinum records. You know, multi-platinum records, amazing. So, yeah.
What was the biggest? What was the a file that went missing that heads went rolling for? Like something that was made, but you guys could never find it.
Oh, that's easy. Benjamin's.
So what was the story there?
Benjamin. So the story behind Benjamin's is that they mixed it for a week and they ended up going with the rough version. So what you hear commercially is a rough version because it's just better than the mix. But for some reason, we were never able to locate the proper session because there was never a session for that. There was the instrumental and the original, the acapella, yes, but not the instrumental. And part of the acapella, but not everyone's verse, because it was just pieced together. So the Benjamins, yeah, that was something that I scoured through every tape and every format to come up empty-handed and never locate the Benjamins. And that was a big record. That was the top record, number one hip hop record in history, I believe. But just that was a rough version.
Yeah, wow. I'm going to ask a stupid question. Were people upset?
Yeah,
they would have been mad as hell, man. What the hell, man?
but Puff got upset when it was time to do shows and we had to do certain edits and stuff like that. And that's when we were, we were just, trying to locate it. and we couldn't do it. We were just limited. We had limitations at that point when we couldn't find stems or multi-tracks. So couldn't find the multi-tracks and none of that stuff, and there you have it. But you know, that's why I always encourage everyone to just bounce your rough at the end of the night. You never know, and that's a great example of vibe supersedes everything, because that energy and the vibe from the rough is what everyone hears today.
Wasn't there a big fire in LA, and there loads of masters and DATs went up, like lots of stuff went up in flames? Like, did much of your music go in there? Was it any of your music in there?
We're in flames. None of my music, I don't believe.
I think it was LA. I think a lot of Mary's original masters were lost. Universal CB. Do you remember? It was just. Was it Universal?
Sure, it was a lot of Universal stuff as well. It's gone. A lot of really old stuff though. 60s, 70s, 80s. You know, that kind of era just disappeared.
Oh well, that's crazy. That sucks if that happened. Yeah, that's history. But
yeah, but they didn't have you to like digitize it. You were doing that's a great role. I love that, man. What a job, man. That would be magic, man.
Yeah, we were doing the dumps. We were doing the analog dumps. So that was part of I had to oversee that. So it was just a lot. My position was special operations. I was executive special operations. So I handled anything that dealt with audio. So at that time he had restaurants, right? He had restaurants. So they had to consult me for audio. So he would put me in charge of anything that dealt with audio.
So is that music for the restaurants?
Yeah, so the restaurants too, the audio system, everything there, anything dealing with audio.
Okay.
So shows, and that's how I ended up doing his playback for his shows. All his performances, I became his musical director because then I did that by default, because I was dealing with all the audio. Okay. So yeah, I built all the studios in all the places in the Hamptons house and the Miami house, the Making the Band house. I was the consultant and the one in charge of putting all that stuff together, the acoustics, any equipment that I wanted. He just gave me open space to do whatever I wanted. I would go to Guitar Center and just buy whatever, anything that I felt that we needed. He was just like that. Joe, just take this, take whatever. What do you need? How much money? Take the card, go get whatever we need. What do you think we need? Just take it and buy it. Someone with endless money just doing that just to be on the cutting edge of everything. And I remember I was one of the first to buy a flash drive. I showed Pharrell. I was like, yo, you know what this is? It's a flash drive. Very small flash drive, but we were in Miami in his driveway. And he was like, oh, shit, wow. And I still got that flash drive. That was the very first flash drive I bought with Puff's money. And I said we needed flash drives. So, yeah, so it's cool to have an endless budget to go shopping, to buy whatever you want, especially when you're in the music. That's great. Yeah.
Do you think you'll be working with Puff again at some point? Would you like to work with Puff again?
I did an interview for New York Post. I only did one interview since the whole thing happened, and I already told them that I would work with him again. You know what people do in their personal lives. You know, I don't condone that or promote any type of behavior like that or any type of abuse or even physical altercations. Like, you know, when it comes up on my social media fights, I just scroll past it. I don't even know how it appears on my timeline. Like I'm not involved in none of that stuff. But you know, musically, I would definitely do work with him again because you know I think we bring the best out in each other musically, and yeah, I would definitely do music, you know, with him again.
So somebody's got a question for you. Dofat, any advice on getting that warm analog sound, no plugins?
Well, you have to get the warm analog sound, get warm analog gear. Warm analog sound. I mean, it's saturation basically. That's pretty much what it is. There are things that are very, very close to it, but in order to really get what you get, to get the exact saturation, is run your mixes through analog outboard gear. People still do that. Unfortunately, I have some here as well. I don't run, that's for my mic, but I don't run my bounces through it. But yeah, and basically what we're doing when we're bouncing or using the analog gear or using the analog tape is that we're pushing recording level, and that what it does is that it produces a natural saturation, which they compare to compression. It produces a natural saturation, which produce pleasing harmonics. So yeah, so that's the advantage that tape has over digital. Because in reality, we can push way beyond 0 dB on analog, but with digital, 0 is distortion, and the digital distortion is totally different than analog distortion. Once you know the difference, then you'll know your limitations. But yeah, I would just say invest in some good analog outboard gear, and do that. Run your mixes through that, and trust me, you'll hear a difference.
Do you know, it says, obviously you did something in the early 2000s with Belle Biv DeVoe, but going back to the Bad Boy, did you oversee anything with New Edition? Because they obviously did an album on Bad Boy. Was you around any stories of that?
Oh yeah, I was there the whole time they recorded the project, but I was working on. I got their New Edition sampler right here. I got the it's right here too. It's a promo. That's crazy.
Nice.
I mean, it's amazing that New Edition ended up on Bad Boy anyway. But
yeah.
If you'd I don't know whether you overseed any of them sessions or just around when they were there.
No, I was just around, but prior to that, I produced Belle Biv DeVoe.
Yeah.
The year or something before that, Heavy and I did a record, and I made that record on the studio or on the spot, and they loved it. And yeah, so when they came to Bad Boy, it was just like it was great seeing them. They're easy to work with. I didn't produce them, but I was doing some other projects. I can't remember. But that's one thing about me, is that when I know my limitations and I don't bite off more than what I can chew. Like right now, I'm supposed to be working on a project that, and I had to turn down a few projects just so I can prioritize what I have on my plate already. And because how it works with me, and I'll just explain the creative process, I don't force myself to do it. I vibe, I listen to music, I walk around my house. And then when I feel the energy, then I come here and I put it together, and I just I make it happen. But if I don't feel it, then I stay away from this room. I don't come here just to listen. And like one example, like you shouldn't really be in your bedroom or your bed unless you're going to sleep, right? I have TV in my room, but I never turn it on. So I only come to the studio when I'm going to work. So my brain is like that. So I listen to music upstairs. I don't listen to music in the studio unless I'm analyzing some things. So I'm going to be down here later today because I know I'm going to get the vibe. Right now I'm going to have to run. I'm going to eat some dinner. I'm going to get the vibe. I'm going to come down here, knock out 2 records tonight. For my boy Saint. And yeah, that's my goal. That's my goal, but I can't force myself. But that's my plan. My plan is to put myself in the mood creatively to finish 2 records tonight.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. So is there anything else you wanted to share? Stevie, did you want to ask anything?
Well, like I say, we have kept him nearly 2.5 hours. I think he's getting hungry. No, it's you's got the burning questions, VJ. Have you got everything you wanted to ask out there?
I know there's always
one question to wrap it up then.
Come on, we've got Tony DOFAT on. I've got, you know me, man. I've got 100 questions, dude. So I'm not.
I'm thinking he wants to go. He wants to go and eat.
He wants to eat. He's got to eat.
Well, let's wrap this up by asking this, because I think this is a good.
Go on. You go. You ask the last one.
You teach music, yeah? We've got AI. We obviously got this AI now. It's right in our faces. We've got Suno.
Yeah.
How do you feel about AI? And do you think is there any point with the way it's advancing teaching music?
AI sucks. It's one of the things that's stopping me from playing snippets of some of the things that I'm working on right now, because just a portion of that can get fed into a data set, and a full composition can be derived from a snippet. And so I'm not, my records that I have that are unreleased and records that I'm working on, you can't Shazam those or anything, and they're not in the system or nowhere, and I don't want them to be in the system until they're commercially released. So that's the downfall with AI. It's just people that are aware about it and understand how it works is just stopping us from, because you never see me put snippets on. I used to on my stories, but not anymore. And if I do, then that means, I'm doing it because maybe I want them to listen to it. So I do it for promotional purposes only. But I would love for you to hear this Eric Miltier hook. He did an incredible hook. Eric Miltier wrote You Remind Me, and he wrote Jeff Red, You Called and Told Me.
Wow.
He's a songwriter. Those are his vocals.
I'm in love.
But yeah. So so we working together on I sent him something, and I would just love to. See, my computer's not even cooperating. It's not even letting me put the password in. So my computer is saying, Tony, don't do it. You see? My computer's not even allowing me to turn on. So I got to be obedient.
We can do that another time, but that's fine. There's so many songs that you've done that the list is just endless, that you could talk about every track that you've done. Somebody mentioned Soul for Real. Did you work on the second album?
Oh yeah,
I believe you did. You just don't know. I think that's you. And then you've got Heavy D, Eric Miltier, and Felicia Adams as well on that track. So
love that record.
You four are all working together on Soul for Real on Uptown Records for that second album. What a time to be alive that must have been, man.
Yeah, man. They live. You know what's so crazy? They were all neighbors. They all lived within like 3 minutes away from my house. My studio. I had built this house and studio in White Plains in my house, and they lived 3 minutes away, and everyone would come over. And
so did everybody that was on Uptown Records, did they live on the same street? Because it sounds like it.
Well, no. But we all lived in close to Bronx and Westchester, Bronx and Mount Vernon. So we were all just close to together. And Eddie lived in New Jersey. But why is my computer not coming on? This is so weird.
Fair enough. That's okay, man. And I just share one last thing from me. Zach asked a question earlier, but he was just saying that is this right that you produced Jerome's No Disturb sign with Heavy D?
Oh yeah.
What a song, man! I didn't know that was you, man.
Yeah, Slim from 112 wrote that.
That's a great tune, man.
It is.
Yeah.
What happened to that project?
The violins on that. It was dun 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 dun. Yeah, I did the violins on that and everything else. But I remember I was working on that in the studio. Slim went in there. And yeah, man, it's more than, like there's a lot of talented artists, a lot of hit records, but you got to be mentally prepared to be an artist. That's the first and foremost thing that I like to say. You have to be prepared to be an artist because you have to accept everything that comes with it, good, the bad. If you're not ready for it, then you know what, labels will recognize that and will move on to someone else. Labels will not waste their time playing games with you as an artist. And if you're not ready, or if you're fooling around, or if you're causing issues, they'll move on. Labels will move on unless you already have a proven track record and sold millions of records. Then the labels will, okay, you will have, they'll be okay with a certain level of discomfort. But if you're new and you're causing issues, they're gonna be like, you know what,
fair enough.
And they'll say that too. Legally, they can't say certain things, but behind closed doors, like, we're gonna focus on this person, man. That person's too much of a headache.
Yeah, there's quite a few stories like that. But I think there's so much to discuss with you, Tony, and it's never ending. And I think you need to eat. I think I need to eat. I haven't had dinner yet either. It's very late. I was going to say, sorry, sir?
No, I have that steak that I made last night. I didn't eat it all. I'm gonna eat the leftovers right now.
As you should. And but I think if the opportunity presents itself, and if you're up for it, then maybe if we do have another podcast and you're open to joining, we can just discuss the songs that you've done, and the artists, the projects that you've done, because if you go over those just line by line, there's just so much there, and I'm sure people would love to hear that. And are there any last thoughts that you'd like to share, Tony?
No, nothing else. When my book comes out, I'll let you know. You'll get it. I got the ISBN, but I'm very excited for this book because it goes with the coursework, and I'm with a really good publisher that's supporting it. So I'm just happy for that. And I wrote that. Took me an entire year. And some people said it's fast. To me, I was expecting to be done in 3 or 4 months, but a lot of things happening last year. So besides that, I'm just gonna go upstairs and eat, and just let me know when you want me to come back.
We will catch up soon, and
big thanks for everyone tuning in tonight. A lot of support for Tony. Tony, really appreciate your time. Really appreciate
thanks for everyone tuning in. I can't see the chat or anything. All I see is the screen, but I don't know. But thanks for everyone for joining, and follow me on IG, Tony Dofat, and I'll see everyone soon.
Right? What's your IG? What is your IG? I'll just put it out there now.
Tony Dofat.
Tony Dofat. I'll just put this on the chat. So it's just straight Tony Dofat, yeah? Nothing else.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's done.
And Tony, just stay on for a couple of minutes, and then but we'll say goodbye to everybody. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.
Good night, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you.